Hot head wasn't scared to get money nor leave the beef to see. Ain't play me like I'm a pawn in the game. Chess, Joker like Big Kenny the skis. G like Jarrell, Journey. Trigger happy, you is about my family. Alone like my granny. Luther, chuckling, giggling. Hunching my shoulders like my daddy's and the lead. Routed like them Tyson seeds. And spiritual like rewards. A go-getter like Arian. A religious, romantic Khalil like no one, ever. So like Uno, a soldier's untold story like my bro, T-Bird. And cousin Ray Knocker get aim like Herb and free nasty like John and Gene. I can be man, it's respectful, tap into a different breed. I can't wait till they get a load of me. Drake been loving.
Hey, what's good, Justin? Thanks for hopping on, bro.
Legacy family, we are unapologetic. Came with a win back mentality. We are unapologetic. Came with a win back mentality. I can't wait. I can't wait to get a load of me. I can't wait. I can't wait to get a load of me. I can't wait. I can't wait to get a load of me. I can't wait. I can't wait to get a load of me.
Okay, hey champions, welcome to tonight's edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am not sure what in the world is going on. I actually have a message on my device saying that my network connection is tripping. I don't know why, because this is the only thing that I'm using. Hey, Mom. Thanks for hopping on. And so with that, we're going to soldier on anyhow. Appreciate you all hopping on. And so let's dive in. And I want to really be as transparent with you as I possibly can, because this is a topic that anybody can really resonate with. And so I want to talk about adversity and talk about character, because we all go through things and we all experience certain things in life where you really find out what you're made of. You really find out what type of stock you have and what type of stock you really come from when you go through a struggle or when you go through a storm. And so on one hand, I'm speaking to myself, but on the other hand, I know I'm probably speaking to many of you all that are watching, because we all go through things, whether we talk about it publicly or whether we decide to keep it private and just talk amongst it, or talk about it amongst our inner circle. And so with that, I want to share with you the truth about adversity and character, because this is very important. And if you get value from this, let me know in the comment section. Let me know, what your thoughts are with this. And so I don't want to be too long, so let me just dive in. Now, one thing that we need to understand about adversity is that, and I want to be transparent with you, the storms in my life have taught me that a person learns more from failure than they do from success. And what I mean by that is, the problem is that most people actually let failure stop them. However, failure is beneficial because failure builds character. Now, unfortunately, we live in an era where people seem to be more intent on being a character than in developing character. I'm going to say it again. We live in an era, unfortunately, where people seem to be more intent on being a character than in developing a character, than in developing character. And the reason I say that is because we live in a backward society that rewards characters and oftentimes punishes those who display real character. And to be honest with you, I have experienced a lot of adversity in my life. So whenever the adversities of life have punched me in the mouth, I've taken a long look at myself and made the necessary adjustments along the way. And I'm not where I want to be, but I'm thankful I'm not where I used to be, because I grew up very naive and innocent. And Mama April can attest to this, because she has known me since I was 5 years old. And I'm knocking on 35 soon. So she knows me very well. You know, she and her family know me very well. And for a long time, I did what everyone expected me to do. And my mom would never allow me to play team sports. So I didn't. She was afraid that I would get hurt, and I didn't want to disappoint her. Just being honest with you. And my dad, God rest his soul, my dad wanted me to graduate from college because he never did. And I fulfilled that dream for my father back in 2007. Now, during that time, actually, I didn't want to finish college, but I made a promise to my father. And the truth of the matter is, behind our feelings is nothing, but behind every principle is a promise. And I did the best I could to live by certain principles. You know, for example, I abstained for nearly 30 years of my life. Told you, I'm being transparent with you. Only to be abandoned in 2011 by someone who never told me that they had a fear of intimacy. Now, by the end of 2011, I learned a lot about myself that I never even knew. What do I mean by that? What I did not know prior, what I did not realize prior to 2012 was that I was not living. I was merely existing. I saw someone wearing a proverbial mask, and I ignored certain signs leading up to that situation in 2011. There were decisions that were agreed upon privately that were overruled by the individual's parents. And what life has taught me is that no one is 100% blameless in life. Adversity in life does not just build character. Watch this. It truly reveals character as well. Because our character is a reflection of what is really in the center of our hearts. It's not just about the words that we speak, because anybody could say anything to mislead, pose, or evade the truth, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. However, character is about how we actually live our lives, not what we tell people we would do in a given situation. What we actually do, our outward behavior, reveals the attitudes and motivators in our hearts. And think about this. Anybody can wear a mask to hide the true nature of what is on the inside. Yet, what is on the inside will inevitably come out. And this makes it more difficult to know. This makes it more difficult to rely on, and it makes it more difficult to trust someone. But this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where pressure, stress, life's storms, and adversity all come into play and show their value. One of the most influential people in my life, Dr. Arian Tyson, who is one of my mentors. You know, many people know him as E.T. the hip hop preacher. He taught me something years ago. I heard an audio of one of his speeches, and he talked about how everybody wants to be a diamond, but they're afraid to get cut. And it really resonated with me, because diamonds are formed under immense pressure. And what amazes me is that people love to paint themselves as something that they are not, to fit unrealistic expectations. You probably know some people like that. And if I'm going to be honest, I didn't even realize I was actually living like that for a long time. Now, here's the caveat. This, however, does more harm than good. And it is much more difficult to put on a mask in the midst of challenging circumstances. It's often during these storms that people's true colors are revealed. What am I saying? What's exposed either makes us interesting and more attractive or reveals some internal ugliness. Now, unfortunately, many people walk around ashamed because the adversity that we face as we live our lives and the scars that we will undoubtedly incur on our journey can possibly lead to undesirable outcomes. I mentioned going through an annulled marriage in 2011. Now, that's my example of adversity that I've overcome. And I learned a lot from that situation. What I'm saying is, many people say they trust, but they don't, because what I've learned is this. Many people say they trust, but they don't because they have not healed. They have not truly healed from their past hurt. And when adversity strikes, some people run away regardless of the promises that they have made. That's just a statement of fact. No matter how sad it is, no matter how wrong it is, it's a fact. It has happened. I know people that it has happened to. People would rather see you suffering than help you. And that's sad. But it's a lot of truth to that. They would rather see you suffering than help you. People would rather lie and say they will help you instead of honestly acknowledging that they cannot help you. And I hope you're with me on that. Here's the reality. The adversity of suddenly losing people I once called friends for reasons I still don't know have helped me in revealing my character. It's easy to go on social media and publicly embarrass someone who has hurt you. And I'm sure that you all have people on your Facebook friends list who put all of their business out on social media. 1 minute you look up, they're calling each other babe, and I really cannot stand that word. If you really know me, you know I can't stand that word. And that person is they boo thing 1 minute, and then the next minute they can't stand them. They're blasting them all over social media, and it's getting to the point where they actually have the audacity to turn people against that person who have absolutely nothing to do with the situation. I've seen that happen. But what life has taught me is that how you respond to adversity privately determines how God can bless you openly. Because pressure and adversity push what's inside of us to the surface. And storms reveal whether your coping mechanisms are mature or immature. Think about this. Character is developed, and we will never know how much we can handle if we are afraid to face adversity. I'll even go to the good book on you. In the book of Romans, chapter 5, around verses 3 and 4, the Apostle Paul teaches that suffering, and he teaches that suffering and adversity produces character, and that's true. Hey, cuz, Thanks for hopping on. And while going through that process of adversity, while going through that turmoil, while going through that storm is hurtful and it's uncomfortable, it is necessary. And the truth of the matter is that the attacks from the enemy, the attacks from our enemies, is something that we should learn to be thankful for. The setbacks, for example, the setbacks in my life, even going through an annulled marriage, even being hurt by the church, has helped me do three things. It has helped me build character. It has revealed what is in the center of my heart. And it has allowed me to succeed and become hungry through the adversity, shining God's glory to others, giving God glory to others to help guide and encourage them even through the midst of their own storms. What I'm saying is that character development is our decision. And so we have to make the decision to choose well. How we do anything in life is how we do everything. You cannot let what has happened to you, you cannot let the setbacks that you will undoubtedly deal with throw you off course. You cannot allow it to make you bitter. And you cannot allow yourself to get into a position where you make someone else pay for what someone else did. Adversity not only does it build character, but like I said, the main thing that it does is help reveal your character. So my question to you tonight is, what are some of the things that you have gone through that while the enemy thought that it was going to defeat you, that it was going to make you bitter, that they thought that you wouldn't overcome it, that by the grace of God, you were able to overcome it. You did not allow it to make you bitter. You allowed it to make you better. What are some of those things? Think about that, because that's important. And then not only that, how did you overcome it? And have you shared it with someone who you see that's going through a struggle? Now, I get it. Yeah, we live in a society where people are very hard-headed and they just won't listen. But actually give them a chance to listen. Tell them anyway. Drop that wisdom on them anyway. Here's why. Because the truth of the matter is this. When it's all said and done, if you tell them what you've gone through and how you've overcome it, when they go through a struggle, they can't say that nobody told them. They can't say that nobody poured into them. They can't say that nobody gave them a heads up about what to potentially avoid. They will have to take responsibility. They will have to take accountability for the decisions that they've made. And the truth of the matter is, whether you are a decision maker or whether you are indecisive, there is a consequence that's going to undoubtedly come from it. That's just reality. But do not allow it to make you bitter. Allow it to make you better. Allow it to stretch you. Allow it to tap into something that you did not know was in you, and then be a blessing to others by paying it forward. Because everything we go through in life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, is part of our journey. And it would be selfish of us to keep what we've gone through to ourselves. So that's something that I wanted to share with you tonight. Like I said, I didn't want to be long today. But I want you to think about that, because anytime you go through adversity, It's not meant to kill you. It's not meant to cause you to lose faith. It's meant to teach you something. And you have to be able to endure adversity in order to go to the next level. So if you've been stuck on a certain level and you're looking back and wondering, why am I still on this level? Think about what you have done. Think about how you've responded thus far. And if you want to elevate, that means that you're going to have to do some things differently. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine who is in a situation where she's trying to pass a test. She hasn't passed it yet. And she has to do something different. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect the result to change. You have to do something different in order for you to get a different result. So I trust that, this topic was of value to you, that I gave you something to think about as you go about the rest of the week. And if you have, let me know in the comment section. Let me know by, sharing this on your Facebook walls. And truly, I appreciate you all for rocking with me. I actually realized I'm coming up on a year since I first started this podcast. And it seems like that year has just flown by. And so I'm truly thankful for each and every one of you all for tuning in. And of course, as always, in life, you have two choices. You can make moves or you can make excuses, but you most certainly cannot do both. It's yours truly, Arian Tyson, the Moving Motivator. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back next Tuesday, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for another episode of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. Peace.